single mistake on your resume will ruin your chances of landing your dream job in Germany. And I have seen a same mistake on a multiple resume student do when they write their resume, and it immediately leads to the rejection from the HR perspective. I myself was doing the same mistakes for the longer period of the time until I realized that why I'm not getting good responses. Then I decided to pay a visit to my resume and restructure it. So those who don't know me, I'm Akshay. I came here in 2021 in order to pursue my master's, and after landing in Germany within the 6 months of span, I was able to get my internship, and within a 6 months next, I was able to get my full-time role here in Germany. In today's video, I'm going to tell you the things which I followed when I was writing my resume. So before even we start our today's agenda, how we can structure it, I have attached my sample resume in the description. If you're an impatient person, you can simply use my resume and change it according to your requirement. But if you watch this video till the end, of course, you're gonna learn a lot of things in this video which you can implement in the strategic way so that you can get a good response. So today we are gonna first see what we don't need to do on the resume. I have seen people not adhering to the Europa CV format. So what is Europa CV format? I mean, there is nothing as such a Europa CV format. It is something that when you're writing your resume, it should be good looking for the HR. It should be easy for them to evaluate and make their decision. If you put a lot of things in your resume, which is not so well organized, when it is creating a complication for HR to read your resume, it is going to lead to the immediate rejection. What we are going to do today is we are going to create you a Europa CV format resume, which you can use it for your application process. Second thing is I have seen also student using a 6 or 5 pages resume. I myself, when I was in India, then I was using up to 3 to 4 pages resume when I had poor knowledge how can I write a resume. So today we are going to write a resume 1 or 2 pages. I would highly recommend, if you are an intern, if you don't really have any job experience, keeping your resume up to the 1 page will give you the better chances rather than writing something which is not necessary in your resume, which we are also going to talk about. But if you are an experienced person, then try to come up with 2 pages resume which can be good looking, which will give you the broader exposure, and you will be able to highlight your things in the resume. The very important thing, the third thing, is do not use a multiple color combination. I have seen people using dark blue color, black color. I'm not sure why it is necessary when you write a resume here in Germany. Until and unless you are coming from the background of digital marketing or you want to be a content creator, then you have to show your creativity on your resume when you're applying. But like me, if you're coming from the background of management, operation, HR, marketing, supply chain, then I personally do not think that you have to come up with the creativity. How does it look? Rather, you focus on the creativity when you write your experience and when you write your projects. So this is the thing what I would like to emphasize on that. Make sure keep your resume with the white plain simple background, and do not come up with any color combination which is going to irritate the eye of the HR. All right, so now we know that the things we don't need to do. What we need to understand is now what we need to write on your resume. So we are going to divide our resume into 3 different portions. So as you can see on the screen at this point, with the portion 1, we are going to write pretty much simple structure. What you see here on the right and left is a summary, or let's say the heading for your professional career, what you have done so far. In right side, you can see that it is so compact. On the other side, on the left side, on the other hand, on the left side, you can see it is so well structured that it is going to give you the clear visibility that what you need to read in that paragraph, why it is happening, and what is this thing called. So this is called as a negative spacing in resume. When you use this concept in a good way, when you write your headings or when you try to summarize your resume, in that case, if you try to follow the structure which you can see on the left side, of course going to guide the HR that what they need to pay attention to, and they should not be missing out on the important parts or the achievements. What do you want to showcase them? But on the other hand, the things what you see, or the structure what you see on the right, is totally terrible. It is so compact, it is so complicated. The HR will definitely decide to pass it. And most of the HR here in Germany screen your resume not more than 7 seconds. If they are able to find your resume interesting in the first 7 seconds, then only they are going to stick with your resume. So how we need to structure the section one? So structure one would be, we are going to start with our professional summary, what you can see on the left side, then followed by we need to talk about ourselves. So when we talk about ourselves, HR here in Germany, of course, would love to know more about you apart from your academics, apart from your curriculum, what you have achieved, and what up apart from your experience. Here, I have mentioned pretty much simple information, but this is a powerful information like my full name, where do I reside, what is my email address, do I have a LinkedIn profile. This is the information is important for the HR in order to make their decision, because most of the companies post their job advertisement and sometimes they specifically mention that whether you leave, let's say if I am applying for a position which is in Cologne, and if I am applying for this position from Berlin, and in the job description they have specifically mentioned that I need to be residing in Cologne, and if you provide or do not provide this information that you are living in Berlin, and later down the line they come to know after proceeding with your interviews that Berlin, you live in Berlin and you need to move to the Cologne on the specific day, and if you're not able to secure the accommodation, there could be the lot of consequences, because company has to get going without you onboarding and they have to start their projects. So it is a loss for the company. In that case, they have to make the harsher decision and let you go. So if we do not want to fall in the same trap, that is the reason we need to make sure that we have all the necessary information available on our resume. Next is a photo on your resume. I have seen or I have personally evaluated a very limited amount of the resumes, but even I myself have done the same mistake when I was not really 100% good with the how to write a resume. I was using my passport size photo on my resume, which is so terrible because HR really need to see the real person. And quite often you also get to ask by the HR that the person what you have on the CV or the resume is not the same person what they see in reality. I myself have faced the same situation when I applied for my internship. I used my passport photo, and when I met the HR on site, he immediately told me that you really do not resemble to the photo what you have mentioned on your CV. So be sure that you update your recent photo, not something like the photo from your 10th 8th standard. And those who don't know how to click a photos, then you can simply stand with the next to the plain background, ask your friend or family members to click a simple photo. There are a lot of websites available these days where you can simply go upload your photo and get the professional photo for your resume or LinkedIn. Of course that you need to do it by yourself. Second thing is more important when you are writing a resume. This is the center part of the resume. So what we need to do here is, if you are a fresher here in Germany, or if you are a fresher coming to the Germany from India or any other country, when you don't have any experience, in that case you need to structure this section according to your specific requirements. So what I did back then is, when I was an intern, but I also worked with one of the biggest company in India, in Amazon. So of course I had a good amount of experience which I could display. That in that case I took my experience before my educational level. So as you can see on the screen, that if you're a fresher, then you need to first mention your current education, what you're pursuing or what have you pursued, followed by the certificates. But on the other hand, if you're an experienced person, then you can make sure that you write your experience, then you can talk about your current academics or the previous academics, and make sure when you write your academics it has to be in chronological order. So the very first achievement, the most recent, until the most oldest one. Those who don't know how to do it, as you can see on the screen, this is how it needs to be structured. Anyways, moving to the next topic is, what do we write there when we talk about writing the points in this experience section? Many of the students, even I myself, was doing the same mistake when I had a poor knowledge how I need to structure it, how I need to showcase that the things what I have achieved in my previous experience. That's when I understood and learned this concept when I was working in Amazon, is called as a star methodology. So what is star methodology? Star methodology is pretty much simple. We don't need to complicate in this video, so that you can make sure you take 100% of it and write your resume in the same structure. Star is going to be highlighting your situation, why and what was the situation back then. A stands for action. What action did you take on that situation? T is what was the transformation happened, or what was the task you did in order to resolve that situation, and R stands for result. So what was the outcome towards the end? Let's say if you worked on the KPI dashboard in your previous organization, you can structure this that in my previous organization I worked on a KPI dashboard which gave us the resulting, or which gave us the clear visibility on supply chain. You can use this text, but how you can tweak it more precise and crisp for HR to have a good keywords and make sure that it is highlighting your strengths, what you want to showcase there, because the previous strength, the text what we have here at this point is not highlighting anything. How I would tweak it with the star format is, in my previous role, or let's say orchestrated KPI dashboard analysis with Excel or Power BI gave us a visibility of 100% on supply chain. Here with this text, what you are trying to showcase to the HR that you have utilized your Excel or Power BI skills, which is you're talking indirectly about that you hold the skills. You developed a dashboard wherein the management will get a clear understanding of the current scenario, what is happening in supply chain, and more importantly, what was the result, what you're showing towards the end, that the 100% result was showing the visibility on the supply chain for management. So this is how you need to structure this section. And I would like to emphasize here that do not come up with 10-20 points. Just try to stick with the 5-6 points which are sufficient and job relevant, and please do not copy paste the points from your job description to your resume, because HR is highly going to notice this and they are really going to reject your resume, even though if you achieved your part 1 in a good manner, but the part 2 will definitely, they will decide to skip your resume and move to the next one. So now we know how we need to structure our part 2. Now talking about the part 3 of the resume. So what I did in my part 3 of the resume is, then I tried to showcase the certificates of the achievement what I have acquired at this point so far relevant to that stream. Let's say many of you have written, you hold the Microsoft Excel certificate, you hold the Microsoft Power BI, but just imagine if you're applying for a position, let's say as a content creator, how these certificates are going to add the value when you apply with the resume mentioning these certificates. It's none, right? So it is the same situation when you are applying for any specific position. You need to understand, or you need to make sure that the certificate you are going to attach there is highly equivalent to that position. So let's say if I apply for some position in supply chain, especially in the domain where I'm trying to get now is consulting. So what other things are related to the consulting? I would say there that I was a people management person. So if I have any certificate related to the people management, whether it could be LinkedIn, whether it could be some online university, whether it could be from your company, attaching that certificate will give an priority and more important significant there, rather than including the certificate wherein I talk about my computer skill, because which is not relevant. If I want to get myself into the consulting, I need to be a people person, I need to talk about the people, I need to convey my ideas to the people management stakeholders. So in that case, writing a right set of information on your resume is also important. So if I have to apply for a supply chain consulting position, I can include the people management certification. I can also include some certification which is relevant or related to the SAP, which is related to the extended warehouse management, because that is a position I'm trying to target. And don't worry, if you don't have the certification, you can simply go on LinkedIn, try to complete the courses for a few hours and you get the certification. Even adding this certification is going to create a significant value to your resume, because from the point of view of HR, you know these concepts and you are going to make sure that you already have this knowledge 100% in you before you write it. So I would love to emphasize here that apart from this, if you do any additional activity, I mean, there was a good situation and incident with me in my previous job search when I applied for a full-time position as a supply chain consultant in one of the biggest company in Germany. During my last round, I wrote on my resume that as a hobbies, I like to create a YouTube videos, and manager was so freaking impressed with this concept because he wanted to see what I do apart from the 9 to 5 job as a person, as a Akshay. And that is when he was so impressed that the within next 24 hours I was able to secure my contract with the company. And that is the reason it is mandatory that in section 3 you also need to talk about your hobbies, what you love to do apart from your 9 to 5 jobs. And please do not type or do not mention that you like to play a computer games, you like to I don't know, you like to cook. I mean, cooking is not so bad, cooking is not so bad, or playing computer game is not so bad, but try to add the values to your CV by mentioning, I don't know, it's you can read, or you like to read, or you like to present, or you like to make a blogs, or you like to create something new content, or you like to help people. This shows that you're a socialized person, because what it is going to indicate on your resume that if you have a hobby which is going to include other people in your hobby, then you are a people person, which means you are going to be a good team player and you are not going to sit alone in the team. So I think this is pretty much how we need to structure our resume. The very first thing, we are going to start with the section 1, where we talk about the summary of our profile. In section 2, we talk about our experience. If you are a person who doesn't have a experience, then we are going to switch the education first, then we talk about our experience, but in the star format. If you don't have the experience, it is okay, you don't need to explain or write something there until the point you get some internship, or until you don't find an internship. Try to work on some projects, try to post some projects, post on LinkedIn, so that which you can use, refer, and highlight it also on your resume. And if you're struggling to find a part-time jobs in Germany, you can watch this video, which might give you the insights how can you find a part-time jobs in Germany. So this is how I would structure my resume when I'm trying to apply for a new position in Germany. If you're having a trouble writing your cover letter, then you need to watch this video, and see you there in this video.